All right, good segment about the Pacers. I want to talk about Purdue. Purdue, things are looking a little bit more grim. The Pacers have been struggling recently, and so have the Boilermakers. My question to you is, how concerning is Purdue's two-game losing streak at this time? Purdue's lost control of the Big Ten, right? There was a time where they were leading the Big Ten. There was a time where they were tied at the top of the Big Ten. They're now in conference 11-4. They have two more losses than Michigan does. They're at the top at, I believe, 12-2. I'm not sure. I don't actually have the math down on how many games back that is, but it's more than one, right? 12-2, 11-4. Pacers have two more losses. That means that Michigan's going to have to lose two more times for there to be a tiebreaker scenario, and Michigan State and Wisconsin are still in the mix. Wisconsin now has a tiebreaker over Purdue. They at least won that game just a couple days ago, and Purdue, of course, goes to Michigan State tomorrow. What happened, right? So far, during this difficult stretch of the Big Ten schedule, Purdue went to Michigan and lost 75-73. They came home to play Wisconsin and lost 94-84. First question, how do these losses occur, right? Mainly the Wisconsin games I want to talk about because that is the most recent one. Wisconsin and Michigan, to me, are better than first glances would probably suggest. Wisconsin scores, and they score a lot. They shoot the ball a lot, and they score the majority of the time. And that makes it very difficult. It makes it very difficult to beat Wisconsin when they score that high of a level. When Braden Smith, your leading scorer on the year, at least from the backcourt's perspective, is having a down game. He had 4 in the first half. I believe he ended the game with 6. Trakoff and Wren needed to put up 32, have a career game just for Purdue to really feel like they were in it and make the game competitive at home. That's very concerning. And in the past, I've praised Purdue's ability to have a supporting cast that picks up the slack, right? In the past, I've praised Purdue, and the reason why I thought Purdue was built to last in March is because Braden Smith, if he's the guy, right? He's the takeover guy in the backcourt. But if in some way, shape, or form he's having a down game, someone else is going to step up. Fletcher Lawyer has stepped up in the past. CJ Cox has stepped up. Miles Colvin has stepped up. All of these guys have had big-time games where they've been the one to take over in the backcourt. And against Wisconsin, the team that you most need a premier score in the backcourt against, there was really no one. I didn't really see that presence of picking up the slack in the backcourt for Purdue. Fletcher Lawyer had 15, but I wanted more from him. He was 50% from the field and 50% for 3, 4 for 8, and 2 for 4 in both of those marks. I wanted more from Fletcher Lawyer, right? And yeah, Cox had 13 to keep him in it, but still, to me, it wasn't enough. If CJ Cox is putting up a confident 13 maybe to keep the team in the game, and Trakoff Marin has to score 32, Wisconsin's not the best team in the country, right? Wisconsin's not the best team in the Big Ten. And Wisconsin, although is fantastic, and I think fully is a dark horse to make the Final Four, that's a game where if you find yourself in March and you're playing yet another top 25 opponent in a row, and Braden Smith is somehow having a down game, Purdue's in trouble, right? If Braden Smith is off, this team will lose to someone that can score because there isn't someone to fill in for Braden Smith's production when it's missing. Fletcher Lawyer is supposed to be that guy. He hasn't really been so far this season, which is okay if Braden Smith is on, because then Fletcher Lawyer is a phenomenal role player. He's exactly the type of guy to supplement the presence of Braden Smith. But Braden Smith, if he's off, the team is off, right? And that's exactly what happened here in this game. Braden Smith is off, and there was no one to fill in that level of production, and Trey Coppin did his best. CJ Cox did a decent job, and that's how this game was so close for the majority of it. But Purdue ultimately lost at home to Wisconsin, and from a skill performance standpoint, it really wasn't that close. It was a 10-point game, but if TKR and CJ Cox are not putting in a full over the maximum effort, Wisconsin wins by more than double digits, well over double digits on the road against Purdue in Mackey Arena, and that is concerning. So the question is, how concerned are we, right? How much does this make us question maybe Purdue's strength moving forward? Because it makes me feel like Purdue can't win a championship, because we may just run into the same problem as last year, where when it comes down to it, they can't keep up with the big dogs. They couldn't keep up with UConn last year. What happens if Purdue plays Auburn? Well, we saw that, and they lost. What happens if Purdue plays Duke and Cooper Flagg, right? What happens if Braden Smith is having a down game? Purdue's just going to lose against a team that can score and is fundamentally at their level or above it in terms of skill or athleticism or effort or whatever it may be. Braden Smith has to be on. And if he is, this team could win a championship. And I don't think I'm kidding when I say that either, just because of the nature of the chaos of the NCAA tournament and how a team like Auburn or Duke could drop down in the Sweet 16 or something of that idea. Purdue's a team that can win it all. If Braden Smith is playing well and the supporting cast is doing its job, This is a team that can win a national championship. We'll see if they can actually do that. It's going to rely on Braden Smith, and it's very important to watch how he's playing in the Big Ten tournament, how he's playing at the end of the regular season, and how he's playing in the first couple rounds of the NCAA tournament, if they advance that far, to where we'll kind of have an idea of what Purdue is going to be moving forward. There's this narrative that they're nothing without Zach Edey, or at least there was. That's clearly not true. But they kind of need Braden Smith right now, because if he's not there, it doesn't feel like there's a premier guy that can step up in his place. Fletcher Loyer fills that role on the roster, but he doesn't quite do a great job of that, in my opinion, in most situations. Maybe he can prove me wrong. I am worried that he may not be able to, and that's one of the reasons why I'm worried about Purdue moving forward across the board. They play Michigan State tomorrow night, so we obviously, every other weekday, come on this show. We're not going to talk tomorrow, but we will talk on Wednesday and sort of recap and review what happened in that game against Michigan State. It's a battle for the control of the 2 seed, all right? Michigan State's 11-3 in the Big Ten play. Purdue is 11-4. So the win of this game, it's a half-game difference. The win of this game straight up takes not only, I believe, the tiebreaker, but also just takes control of the 2 seed across the board. So it's a battle for control of the 2 seed at 7 p.m. on Peacock on Tuesday night. Like I said, Michigan State's half a game ahead. And Purdue's also fighting to stay in the title race in the regular season. There's 4 to 6 games left for every team in the Big Ten. Michigan's 2 losses, I suppose, ahead of Purdue. Purdue has 2 more than them. So it's still close, right? Michigan could still drop out of that top 1 spot, and Purdue versus Michigan State tomorrow night is going to really prove which team is next in the pecking order to take up that mantle. Michigan State just lost to IU, and then they blew away Illinois on the road. They play 4 more ranked conference games in a row. So Purdue is next. I believe they have Wisconsin at some point. They have Maryland at some point. They'll honestly, it's probably Michigan. They'll play another one against another ranked conference opponent in the Big Ten. That's where we're at with Michigan State coming into this game. Again, Purdue battling for control of the 2 seed against Michigan State. Michigan State is 20-5. They're 11-3, and they're second in the Big Ten. I want to preview this game, look at the strengths of Michigan State, looking at how Purdue can win. Michigan State is a physical team that draws fouls and then makes their free throws, right? They get fouled above average compared to the rest of the country, right, and especially compared to the rest of the Power 5. And they make their free throws at an 80% clip as a team when they have the opportunity to shoot them. So they're a physical team down low. They draw fouls, and then they make their free throws. So what that's going to have to mean for Purdue is that they're going to have to make their free throws in their own right, because if this game is close on the road down the stretch, that's where your free throws count the most. You can't let that be a factor if you're Purdue. You can't let that be a reason why you struggle to win down the stretch, because at the end of the day, in close games in college basketball and any level of basketball, if you make your free throws, you have a much better chance of winning close games down the stretch. Michigan State makes their free throws. Purdue has to at least match that to cancel out that strength that Michigan State carries. They defend the 3 well. They move the ball around well, but they turn it over. All right, they're one of the best teams in terms of assists in the country and in the Power 5 or the Power 6, whatever you want to call it. But they often turn the ball over above average in those categories as well. They have a great backcourt. Jaden Akins is their leading scorer. He's a guard. He scores 13.2 a game. And you might notice that he only scores 13.2 a game, and that is notable because Michigan State spreads the ball around. This is a deep team. There's a lot of roster talent. There's a lot of guys that can score. Plenty of role players, plenty of fifth mans on the court that step in and make plays. They're one of the best assisting teams in the country. They move the ball around very well. They spread the love. They spread the distribution of the basketball, and as a result, the distribution of the scoring at a very effective rate. So Purdue, on the other side, right, they're going to have to get to the ball quick defensively. They're going to have to get to the ball quick, thwart possessions before they can even develop, because if you give Michigan State a chance to develop their possessions and carry the basketball through, they're going to have a much better chance to score because they're great at creating shots, finding open guys, and hitting the shots when they have the opportunity to. And if you let a possession get too close to the rim, they're probably going to draw a foul and make their free throws. So Michigan State gets points unless they turn the ball over, which is exactly what happens a lot of times where teams just get after Michigan State right away defensively. We're going to have to see some great one-on-one defense from Purdue in the backcourt. We're looking at Fletcher Loyer. We're looking at Braden Smith. That's going to be difficult. Jaden Akins is fantastic. This backcourt for Michigan State is fantastic. That's their strength of their team on offense. Purdue's going to have to play some great one-on-one perimeter defense. and ultimately just not give Michigan State, the crowd, the student section, something to yell about. Because at the end of the day, you're going on the road in the Big Ten against a team in the top 25, and Michigan State, at least before the update to the AP Top 25, which is happening in about 20 minutes at the time of recording this, you're playing a team that's very difficult to beat, right? Considering the quality of opponent and location of the game. Don't give that crowd something to yell about or something to cheer about, right? If you're thwarting possessions right away, forcing turnovers as quick as possible, making your shots on the other end, making your free throws, letting Trey Kaufman bash and bang inside, play this game fundamentally sound and play this game the way you're supposed to. Otherwise, Michigan State's going to get hot. They're going to start hitting threes. They're going to stop you from hitting threes, right? They're going to play great defense on the other end. They're going to get inside. They're going to play the game physically and effectively. And next thing you know, Purdue's down by 6 on the road late, and the game feels lost, right? And that's honestly what I think is most likely going to happen. I'm hesitant for Purdue. I struggle to do predictions on this show because more often than not, I just pick the team that is in Indiana, right? If Purdue's playing someone, I'm probably picking Purdue. Indiana, I give the benefit of the doubt half the time. So I don't like to do predictions because the point of this show is homerism at the end of the day. I'm hesitant about Purdue in this one. Michigan State may pull this one out at home. I would not be surprised at all. That would hand Purdue its first 3-game losing streak of the year and really raise questions about their ceiling in March because they'd be losing to 3 top 25 teams in conference in a row, one of those games occurring at home. And at the end of the day, when you get to the tournament, you have to win 5, 6, 7 games in a row against top 25 caliber teams away from Mackey Arena. They did a great job of that until they didn't last season. I'm interested to see and maybe concerned about whether or not they're going to be able to do that this season moving forward. So I think Michigan State's going to win this game. It's going to raise questions about Purdue. We're going to have a lot to talk about on Wednesday regardless, whether Purdue goes out and pulls out a win or not. Michigan State, they play great perimeter defense. They play the game physically. They make their free throws. Purdue's just got to do the same thing on the other side. And again, hit those threes, or if they're not, really fuel the ball to Trey Kaufman. He had 32 in the last game. I'm interested to see how Purdue approaches Michigan State and how they approach this game, and I'm interested to see how they fare in it moving forward with Michigan State, of course, being a quality opponent on the other side. Big game on Tuesday. I'm concerned about Purdue. I hope they don't give me more reason for concern tomorrow night. Either way, we'll see how it goes and talk all about it on Wednesday.